Hi, Level 8 students. Today we're going to do another lesson on how to write a 5-paragraph essay with research. So as you know by now, a 5-paragraph essay has an introduction paragraph, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph. But if your essay also includes research from other sources, the final step is the works cited list at the end of the essay. So that's what this lesson is going to focus on today, how to add the works cited list to your essay. So in research essays, there's 2 kinds of citations. There are in-text citations and the works cited list. In-text citations are the sources you reference inside the paragraphs of your essay. In-text citations are usually the name of the author from the source, or if there's no author, no writer, it might be the publication name. So for example, if you have a source from a government website and there's no author listed who wrote the page you're citing, then you would use the name of the publication, the department or government agency instead of the name of a person. And if it's a source from a book, you might include the page number in your in-text citation as well. For One World, we've mostly used websites and articles from online publications, so we're not going to worry about page numbers. And sometimes you include the date. So those are the in-text citations. They are inside your essay, inside the sentences and paragraphs of your essay. Works cited is the list of sources at the end of your essay, and it has more information than the in-text citation. It has the name of the author, it has the title of the article, the date it was published, the name of the publisher, it might have the URL, the website, and it also might have the date that you, the researcher, accessed it on the web. Why are we learning about this? Citing sources properly is an important academic and professional skill. Who needs to cite sources properly? College students. If you plan to attend college, you'll sometimes need to write research papers, and citing sources will be an expectation. It's also important for middle and high school students who are doing research projects as well. So learning how to cite sources properly could help you as a parent when your children are doing research projects for their schooling. It's also a necessary skill for journalists and other kinds of writers. There are different citation styles, and each style has different rules to follow. The rules depend on the style. There's MLA, APA, Chicago, IEEE, CSE. And the style of citation is usually going to be chosen by your teacher or professor, maybe the academic department at your university or the program you're in. So for example, my master's degree is in the field of education. And so all of my papers and assignments had to use the APA citation style for my master's program. You can always ask your teacher or professor if you're not sure if you should use MLA, APA, or Chicago. The teacher is responsible for making clear which one you're supposed to use. If you do go to college, Don't worry, colleges have writing centers. That's a center that helps students with their written assignments, and that would include helping you follow the rules of citing sources. So if you go to college, make sure you find out the location of the writing center because they'll be able to help you through this process with your assignments. There are also lots of free resources online. If you Google MLA citation style, APA citation style, and that can help you with your assignments or possibly your children if they're in middle or high school and they need to do this. Many people find properly citing sources a challenging task, so don't give up. There are lots of places and people who can help you with this. So for our One World Research essay, we are going to use the MLA style that was chosen by the One World program. So we're going to look now at some examples of how to cite sources following the rules of the MLA style. So here is my example essay on DC statehood in a Google Doc. I have my title centered on the page, and then I have my 5 paragraphs. And at the end, I have my works cited list. So we're going to look at some of the examples of my citations. For my in-text citations, I have highlighted them in yellow for this lesson. Normally, they would not be highlighted. So when you submit your essay, it's not necessary to highlight. I've only done this so you can see them easily. So for in-text citations from an article that you found on a website, it is only necessary to include the name of the author or the name of the publication. So I've used the phrase according to a Vox explainer. This is the publisher, and I give my evidence. I've paraphrased it. I've said it in my own words. And then at the end of that evidence, you can see I have parentheses with the name Lopez inside the parentheses. That's because Lopez is the name of the writer, the person who wrote this article on Vox. So this information comes from this publisher and this person. So you can say according to and the name of the writer. So for example, I could say according to Herman Lopez. But people probably don't know who Herman Lopez is. That's not important to my information, but they might be familiar with the publication Vox. That's why I chose to say according to a Vox explainer. For the in-text citations, you only need to put the last name of the writer. It's not necessary to put first and last name. My next piece of evidence is a quote from former President Barack Obama. And because I'm quoting him, I'm using his words. I have used quotation marks to show where his words begin and where they end. So these words come from President Barack Obama. So I've used his name and says. So Barack Obama says blah, blah, blah. Now, I did not interview Mr. Obama myself. I read this quote in an article. So the name you see here, again, we have parentheses. McCalmont is the last name of the writer of the article where I found this quote. So I am giving credit, I am citing the article by using the author's name to show that she is the one who wrote this information. And she got a quote from President Obama. My next piece of evidence, again, I'm using according to, and I'm giving the name of the publication because this is a well-known and reputable publication. I paraphrase the piece of evidence that supports my claim. And again, I have the name of the author who wrote this article in parentheses. So you can see that it came from this publication, but this is the specific person who wrote that article. For my next piece of evidence, there's no writer. It was a website that tracks government, and the name of that website is called GovTrack. So because there's no author name, I've put the name of the website in parentheses instead. And this shows that the sentence here, it is not fair, blah, blah, blah. All of this comes from that website, GovTrack. So you want to keep your in-text citations near the information that you're citing. My final piece of evidence is from a Washington Post article. So I say a Washington Post article cites, blah, 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 blah. And again, you see the name of the author, the last name of the author in parentheses. So the main things for in-text citations are have the name of the author in parentheses near the information you are citing, whether you're quoting or paraphrasing. And if you think it's helpful, you can also include the name of the publication, such as according to an Associated Press report or a Washington Post article cites, blah, blah, blah. Okay, for works cited, you have more detailed information. So these are all of the sources I used. I have 5 sources in this essay, and they're organized by the name of the writer alphabetically. So Herman Lopez, I put his last name first. Lucy McCalmont, Stephen, don't know how to say this last name, and Jenna Portnoy. So they're in alphabetical order, L, M, M, O, P. Now you can see that my second source, there's no author. This is the one from GovTrack. So I've skipped the author name and I go directly to the title of the article. So the basic structure for an MLA citation is author's last name, author's first name, period, quotation mark, title of the article, period, quotation mark. The website title in italics. The publication or publisher of that website. The date of the article, day, month, year, period. And then web accessed and the date that I, the researcher, visited the website and found this article. So on all of my sources, you can see web access, 20 April 2020. Same here, same here, same here. It's because that's the day that I did all of my research. Now, you should have a lot of your information already in your research log of your One World Journal. So hopefully, as you did your research, you completed the research log and kept careful track of your sources. That's why we asked you to write all of this information into your research log, because now you need it for your work cited. Many of you also did your research on Newsela. You found Newsela articles. So I wanted to direct you to the exemplar, the student exemplar essay in your One World Journal on page 1 and page 2. Former level 8 student Ani Villafranca used a lot of Newsela sources, and you can look at her examples if you want to see the best way to cite a Newsela source. So you have these examples. You have the examples from your One World Journal. You are now ready to go to the next part of the lesson.